In the soft light of a Seattle morning, Emily arranged vibrant dahlias from the farmer's market in a chipped ceramic vase, her fingers deft but distracted. The Queen Anne townhouse hummed with the quiet of routine, dishwasher churning faintly in the background. David burst through the kitchen door, his face a storm cloud, clutching Emily's phone like a grenade. His eyes, usually warm, were sharp with betrayal, fixed on a text she'd meant to delete. A playful note from his brother, Michael, about their coffee date at a Fremont cafe. Her stomach lurched, not from guilt, but from the carelessness of leaving the message exposed. She reached for the phone, but David yanked it back, his jaw tight as he scrolled, each swipe a silent accusation. Another text chimed. Michael, asking about another coffee. David's hands trembled, hurt carving lines into his face. Emily's lips parted to explain, but words crumbled under the weight of his gaze. The air thickened, the moment splintering their already fragile marriage. She knew she had to confess the truth, but it stuck in her throat like glass. David's silence screamed louder than any argument, his fingers saving the text to his own phone. A digital scar of her recklessness. The dahlias drooped slightly, unnoticed, as the kitchen became a battlefield of unspoken truths. Emily stood frozen, the phone's glow illuminating the crack that had just widened between them, threatening to swallow their life whole. The Seattle rain tapped a relentless rhythm on the Queen Anne townhouse. Amplifying its patients waiting for an organ transplant in the United States can face a wait time of over 6 years, with over 100,000 people currently on the national waitlist. In Washington state alone, more than 2,500 people are waiting for a life-saving transplant. The emotional toll of this wait can be immense, with patients often facing anxiety, depression, and a sense of helplessness as they navigate an uncertain future. For many, the wait is not just a medical challenge, but a profound test of resilience, hope, and community support. Emily, a freelance graphic designer, felt a similar hollowness when David left for a tech summit in Portland. His goodbye was a fleeting wave from the driveway, his mind already tethered to a work call. The house, once a sanctuary, turned cavernous, its silence suffocating. Her inbox overflowed with client rejections, her creative spark snuffed out. Desperate for connection, she signed up for a community cooking class at a local co-op, craving a flicker of inspiration. Michael, David's brother, was there, assisting a friend running the class. Over the sharp rhythm of chopping vegetables, their conversation flowed. Her stalled projects, his passion for restoring vintage bikes. His attentive presence was a warm spark in her loneliness, stirring emotions long buried. The cooking class became a fragile thread, a space where she wrestled with feelings she hadn't dared name, each encounter pulling her further from the life she'd known. The Seattle wind rattled the Queen Anne townhouse, setting the front porch swing into a creaking lament. Emily had mentioned the wobbly frame to David, but his mind, tethered to boardrooms and deadlines, dismissed it. Frustration simmered as she hauled a toolbox from the garage, determined to tame the swing herself. Her hands fumbled with a stubborn screw, the metal biting her palm when Michael appeared, a bag of fresh bagels from a Ballard bakery dangling from his hand. His teasing grin cut through her irritation. "You're gonna break that swing." He took the screwdriver, his movements precise, denim jacket rolled up to reveal a faded scar snaking along his forearm. The swing steadied under his touch, and they sat, sharing warm bagels, the yeasty scent mingling with the crisp air. Talk turned to David's endless trips, Emily's voice sharpening as she spoke of his chase for the next deal. Michael's quiet nod held space for her unspoken resentment, a dangerous invitation to unravel further. The swing's creak softened, but Emily felt her own stability waver, the moment pulling her toward something reckless. The bagel bag sat crumpled on the porch, a quiet clue left behind, while the swing became a tether to her growing unrest, its rhythm echoing the unsteady beat of her heart. Each glance at Michael stirred a warmth she hadn't felt in years, a spark that threatened to ignite the dry tinder of her neglected desires. That night, Emily lay awake, Michael's steady presence lingering like a pulse in the dark. The Seattle skyline glittered beyond her balcony, and she grabbed an old Polaroid camera, its weight familiar yet foreign. snapping photos of the city's jagged lights. She felt a forgotten passion stir, a flicker of herself she'd buried under routine. The next day, craving more, she joined a photography walk through Pike Place Market, the air thick with salt and fish and possibility. Michael was there, not as a participant, but helping a friend sell handmade candles, their wicks glowing like tiny beacons. They slipped away to a quirky roastery, coffee cups warming their hands as he asked about her photos. She showed him a Polaroid of the market's neon signs, his grin. "You've got an eye for this," igniting a flush of pride. Later, driving past his Fremont apartment, she slowed, spotting his vintage bike parked outside. On impulse, she snapped a photo and texted it to him with a playful caption. His reply, "Careful, you're making me curious," sent a thrill through her veins, sharp and dangerous. The Polaroid camera, dusted off from neglect, became her lens for rediscovery, each click a step deeper into a connection she couldn't resist. Yet, the photo of Michael's bike, tucked among her prints, loomed as a secret that could unravel everything, its edges curling like a warning she ignored. The Seattle drizzle clung to the Queen Anne townhouse, a soft shroud over Emily's restless thoughts. Michael appeared at her door, a spare wrench in hand, claiming the porch swing needed another tweak. She invited him in, the air heavy with unspoken tension. Iced tea sweated on the living room table, a vinyl record spinning soft jazz, its notes curling like smoke. They talked of her photography, her latest Polaroid of a rain-slicked street glowing on her phone. As she handed it to him, their fingers brushed, a spark igniting the room. They leaned closer, and then they kissed, a fleeting, reckless collision that scorched the air. Michael pulled back, his voice low. "We shouldn't have done that." But his eyes lingered, heavy with want. Emily nodded, her agreement hollow, her pulse hammering. He left abruptly, the wrench abandoned on the counter, its metal glinting like a guilty witness. She stood by the window, heart thudding, the jazz record's mournful saxophone looping in her ears. The kiss had shattered a line she couldn't redraw, its weight sinking into her bones. The living room, once a haven, now felt like a crime scene, the wrench and record silent markers of her betrayal. Emily's fingers traced the phone, Michael's text still glowing, unanswered but burning, as she grappled with the truth. She'd let desire override duty, and the cost was already creeping in, unyielding and sharp. The Seattle rain fell harder, drumming against the Queen Anne townhouse as Emily wrestled with the aftershock of the kiss. Regret and clarity twisted together, a knot in her chest. She threw herself into a new design project for a local cafe, her laptop screen a blur of colors, but every phone buzz made her flinch, half expecting Michael's name. She skipped the cooking class, dreading his presence, and instead joined a pop-up yoga session in a soggy park, the damp grass grounding her as she stretched toward calm. Her mind, though, drifted to Michael's lips, the memory a stubborn ember. At home, she found a shoebox buried in the closet, an old love letter from David inside, its ink faded but fervent, written when their love was new. Reading it, tears stung her eyes, the distance between then and now a chasm. Michael texted, "Need to talk?" The words glowing like a dare. She didn't reply, instead driving to Golden Gardens Park at dusk, the sunset bleeding red across the waves. Her Polaroid camera clicked, capturing the fleeting light, but the photos offered no answers, only questions that churned like the tide. The love letter, left open on her desk, weighed heavier than the camera, its words a mirror to her guilt. The yoga session introduced Sarah, a friend whose casual chatter would soon ripple outward, complicating the fragile threads of Emily's unraveling life. Alone, she stood by the water, adrift in her own choices, the horizon offering no map to redemption. The Seattle summer buzzed with life at a Queen Anne block party, but Emily's heart thudded with unease. She spotted Michael at the grill, flipping burgers, his ease a stark contrast to her turmoil. She busied herself at a face-painting booth, dabbing bright colors on giggling kids, but their eyes locked across the crowd, a silent acknowledgement of their shared secret. They ended up at a picnic table, the hum of chatter cloaking their tension. Michael's apology for the kiss felt half-hearted, his gaze too warm. Emily confessed her loneliness in her marriage, the words spilling out, raw and unguarded. They walked through the street fair, past balloon artists and lemonade stands, his arm brushing hers, a spark she didn't resist. The moment felt like a theft, stolen from the life she'd vowed to uphold. Back home, she deleted Michael's text thread, her thumb hovering before restoring it, unable to sever the tie. The block party's noise faded, but its echoes lingered, rumors already snaking through the neighborhood. David returned, his suitcase scraping the floor, his tired eyes searching hers. He found a Polaroid of Michael's bike, her handwriting scrawled on the back, and a bagel bag in the recycling, relics of her betrayal. His voice was sharp. "What's this?" Emily's silence answered, and he took the couch. The distance between them a chasm. In the garage, she developed photos, each one a confession in shadow and light. Sarah, the yoga friend, saw them at the fair, her gossip soon reaching David, tightening the noose around Emily's fragile world. The Queen Anne townhouse stood heavy under a gray Seattle sky, the air thick with the weight of David's return. His suitcase scraped across the hardwood, a grating sound that matched the strain in his eyes. Emily sat in the dining room, editing photos from Golden Gardens Park, the sunset's glow on her laptop a faint echo of hope. David's tie hung loose, his smile tired and unreturned. She murmured, "You're back." Her voice flat, the space between them taut. They ate takeout tacos in silence, the bagel bag from Michael's visit still lurking in the recycling bin, unnoticed but heavy with implication. Later, David's gaze landed on a Polaroid on the counter. Michael's bike, Emily's handwriting scrawled on the back. His question, "What's this?" cut sharp, her shrug a flimsy shield. The air crackled with unspoken accusations, and he retreated to the couch, the guest room too far for his wounded pride. In the garage, Emily developed more photos in her makeshift darkroom, each image a confession she couldn't voice. The Polaroid and bagel bag were fragments David was piecing together, a puzzle spelling out her betrayal. The tacos grew cold, their wrappers curling like the edges of her secrets. The house, once a shared haven, now felt like a stage for their unraveling. Each creak of the floorboards a reminder of the trust eroding beneath them. Emily's photos captured beauty, but her reality was fracturing, the weight of her choices pressing harder with every silent glance from David. The Seattle dawn filtered through the Queen Anne townhouse, casting pale light on the dining table where Emily and David sat, smoothies sweating in their glasses. The silence broke when David spoke, his voice low but firm. Emily was pulling away. She nodded, her throat tight, admitting her loneliness, the words heavy but stopping short of naming Michael. David's glass hit the table, smoothie splashing like spilled blood, his frustration raw as he spoke of keeping their life stable. Emily countered, her voice trembling, needing more than stability. She needed to be seen. The argument was quiet, but brutal, peeling back years of neglect. David's plea to try again hung in the air. Emily's uncertain agreement felt like a half-lie. That night, she escaped to a rooftop trivia night with yoga friends, the city's lights a distant comfort. Michael was there, their glance charged but wordless, the tension a live wire. Sarah, the yoga friend, noticed, her chatter already sowing seeds of gossip. Back home, the smoothie stain lingered on the table, a mark of their fractured morning. David's question about Michael loomed, unanswered but growing, fueled by the Polaroid and bagel bag he'd found. The trivia night's noise couldn't drown out Emily's guilt, nor the weight of her silence, which spoke louder than any confession. The house held its breath, its walls witnessing a marriage teetering on truths too raw to face, each moment pushing them closer to an inevitable reckoning. The Seattle air hung heavy in the Queen Anne townhouse, where Emily and David moved like ghosts around each other. He slept in the spare room, their conversations clipped to schedules and bills. Emily buried herself in photography, her prints accepted at a local art fair, a fleeting spark of purpose. At the fair, amidst vibrant stalls, Michael appeared, buying one of her photos. a quiet gesture that felt too intimate, like a secret shared in plain sight. David texted, asking her whereabouts. Her vague reply deepened the rift. Sarah, the yoga friend, had seen Emily and Michael talking, her casual mention to David igniting his suspicions. At home, David confronted her, holding the Polaroid of Michael's bike and the crumpled bagel bag, his voice low but searing. "It's Michael, isn't it?" Emily's silence was a confession, her eyes betraying what her words wouldn't. They agreed to keep talking, but trust lay shattered, shards scattered across their once shared space. The art fair's success felt hollow, overshadowed by Sarah's gossip, which spread like wildfire through their circle. Emily's photos, vibrant with captured light, couldn't illuminate the darkness between her and David. The house creaked under the strain, its walls holding secrets too heavy to contain. Each step forward felt like a stumble, their marriage a fragile shell, cracked by truths unspoken and choices unmade, with no clear path to mend what was breaking apart.